My 24M, girlfriend 24F, and my brother 26M got into a fistfight over a political argument, and now my family is demanding I break up with her. I introduced my girlfriend to my parents, siblings, and extended family on a family get-together a few days ago. This was the first time I had seen them since the start of the pandemic, and it started out really well, with everyone getting along and having fun. That would change as more alcohol was consumed. My girlfriend and brother got into a heated political argument that suddenly escalated to violence, resulting in substantial injuries for both of them. Accounts of who threw the first punch differ, and I frankly don't care as they both actively contributed to the fight and antagonized each other. The fight was eventually broken up when my girlfriend had the clear advantage. My mom screamed at my girlfriend to leave, so we left. I love my girlfriend and my brother, and I don't blame either one of them for the fight more than I blame the other. My girlfriend also doesn't seem to hold any grudges and is embarrassed by her behavior during the incident. My brother and parents, on the other hand, place 100% of the blame on my girlfriend and demand that I break up with her or they will cut all ties with me. I will not do that, but I want to maintain my relationship with my family and somehow get them to accept my girlfriend and that she should not bear all the blame for this incident. My brother is also demanding that my girlfriend pay for his alleged medical expenses and is threatening to report her to the police if she refuses. My experience of growing up in this town makes me think sexism in the local police department makes it unlikely that anything would come of the report, as they would almost certainly refuse to consider the possibility that a woman can assault a man. I have offered to pay off my brother, but my girlfriend refuses to let me do that and says that she will pay him if he can prove that the medical expenses are real. My girlfriend still clearly has visible injuries, but did not visit the hospital. I suggested that she go to get her injuries documented, but she doesn't want to do that. I just wish everyone could forget about this and move forward, but writing this makes me think my family is acting unreasonably, and perhaps I should just cut contact with them as they're threatening to do with me. Perhaps growing up with these people makes me blind to how ridiculous their behavior is? I don't know what I should do. Update. Thank you all for the advice, and apologies for the vagueness of my original post. I showed it to my girlfriend and she agreed that it was vague, and thought that I left out important details. I will let her provide those details at the end. Continuing, you all convinced me that it may actually matter who threw the first punch. Before making the original post, I had heard two mutually exclusive versions of the event. One told by my girlfriend and one told by my parents and brother. It's honestly very hard for me to believe that any of them would lie about something like this. I have since reached out to everyone else who may have seen how it started and received two relevant replies. One from my aunt who confirmed my parents' and brother's version, and one from my youngest sister, 18F, who described a scenario similar to what my girlfriend had told me. Everyone who sided with my brother has obviously had the opportunity to speak with him and each other and intentionally or are unintentionally influencing each other's stories. It's very unlikely that my girlfriend and sister have done the same thing, as they don't know each other, and my sister would have no reason to lie for my girlfriend. I don't think there is a reasonable explanation for them telling the same story other than it may just be the truth. I'm therefore almost certain that my brother hit my girlfriend first. Many people commenting on the original post asked if my brother is racist or assumed that he is after I revealed what the argument was about. And I'm honestly not sure how to answer that. My brother sometimes repeats racist talking points from TV and social media, especially against Hispanic people. But last year, he was strongly against the deportation of a neighboring family who had immigrated from Mexico. He even, probably facetiously, suggested that their deportation was a conspiracy to undermine Trump's immigration policy by deporting good people instead of violent criminals. I have never heard my brother use a racial slur or have seen him treat anyone differently because of their race. So I guess the answer depends on how you define racism. And as promised, I said at the end my girlfriend would explain. Here is what she has to say on the matter. This is what I think happened based on what I remember, assume, and was told afterwards. It's probably not entirely correct. We were all sitting around a big outdoor table. I was sitting between my boyfriend and his brother. We talked about non-political things like places we had been to or wanted to travel to, but then someone mentioned the protests, and my boyfriend's brother immediately responded by calling the protesters terrorists. I asked him what made the protesters terrorists, and if the cops were also terrorists by that definition. I don't remember how he responded, but the argument continued from there. We were drinking progressively more and more alcohol as we continued to argue. It was almost like we were in an unspoken drinking contest. At some point, we both stood up and continued to argue loudly while getting in each other's faces. My boyfriend tried to separate us by pulling us away from each other and by attempting to stand between us, but we ignored him and continued. My boyfriend really doesn't like conflict or people screaming, and he was probably very frustrated at that time, so he left and went into the house. We were both angry, and I definitely wanted to punch him, but I still had enough self-control to restrain myself. I fully believe in freedom of speech, and I know that violence is never an acceptable response to someone expressing an opinion. Then, he punched me with a closed fist in the face. I don't remember feeling afraid or anything like that. I was defending myself when I hit back. What I felt was a strange mix of hatred and excitement. We traded a few punches, and then one of mine caused him to fall to the ground. I imminently kicked him in the chest and was then pulled away from him by his dad. That kick is what I regret the most. It was excessive, dangerous, and completely unnecessary. I kicked someone laying defenselessly on the ground, and I didn't feel anything for him until several hours later. I'm terrified of the person I was then, but that person still is me. I did that, but I can't understand why. I was not afraid, and I remember doing it deliberately. I keep thinking about what would have happened if no one was around to stop me after that kick. Would I have kicked him again? How many times? I can't answer those questions, and that's the most terrifying thing to me. My boyfriend wrote that we both had substantial injuries. I don't think that's true. I had a black eye and some bruises. My boyfriend's brother had a broken rib and a concussion. My injuries were not substantial compared to his, which is why I don't think it's unfair for me to pay for his medical bills. I would have done that even without the threat of reporting me to the police. Also, some comments on the post indicated that my boyfriend's brother should either be more to blame or should feel ashamed of losing because of his gender. I disagree. Gender should not have anything to do with this. It's possible that he feels differently and is ashamed of losing to a woman, but I don't think he should feel that way even within that value system, as it was essentially random. He could just as well have knocked me to the ground with his first punch. I don't think strength or skills played any significant role. So, I don't really have any strong thoughts or opinions on this story. I feel like racism is bad. I think we all know that, though. But you know what? Spike Spiegel once said, "I love the kind of woman that can kick my ass." And I have to agree with you, Spike. On a slightly more serious note, I do respect OP's girlfriend for looking inward and being like, hey, this isn't good. I didn't like that part of me that came out, right? Alcohol or not, that was an issue, and I need to look into that because that's not good. So hopefully she addresses that. And we didn't see if anything's gonna happen, but hopefully OP can try and get everybody to coexist down the line, because that's his partner, that's his family, and obviously you don't want conflict there, but it seems to be little messy. But anyway, next story. Story number 2. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to name our son after my wife's dead brother? Obligated, this is a throwaway account because I don't want this reaching friends or family. Also, I'm sorry for the length. I didn't know a good way to shorten this without leaving out anything important. I was directed to this subreddit upon the advice of a friend after this issue escalated to a huge argument approximately 3 hours ago, and this resulted in myself leaving our home to go to a buddy's house. I am still here, and I am unsure how to go about resolving this with my wife. I am 28M, and my wife is 26F, and we've been together for 10 years and married for 4. My wife is pregnant with our first child, and she is due in early July. Now, onto the issue that has arisen. My wife wants to name our son after her brother, who passed a little over a year ago. Her brother, we can call him T, was her only sibling, and they were very close growing up, as they were only 2 years apart. However, her brother was not the most pleasant person. Her brother was a drug addict starting from the age of 14 to 15. He stole from everyone around him, including myself and my wife. He was abusive to every one of his partners and his child, and he served several years behind bars. T was also abusive to my wife and her parents. He had a stay-away order from our home because he broke in while we were away and stole our TV, my wife's jewelry box, and one of my hunting rifles. T passed away last year in April from an overdose, and it affected my wife deeply. It was her first major loss that she has suffered, and she still attends therapy to help cope. When we found out we were having a boy, she immediately wanted the name to be T's name. I heavily disagreed, and I have offered many replacements, other family names like her father's or grandfather's, but she will not budge. She wants our son to have the exact same name as her brother, first and middle. She has even gone as far to say that if we name him something else, she will have it changed, or only call him by T. My final straw was when my wife ordered a blanket with T's name sewn into it for our son. I blew up, and I told her I was not naming our child after a drug addict who took advantage of everyone around him. My wife blew up at me, and then she screamed at me to leave, threatened to call the police if I didn't, and she called me a POS for talking about her dead brother like he was trash. So I did leave. I told her I would attempt to speak to her about this again once we had both calmed down, and I apologized for speaking about T in a negative way. Now I'm getting calls nonstop from her family, calling me names for speaking about T and not wanting to honor him by naming our son after him. My family is on my side, her family is on her side, and my friends are split on the matter. So, Reddit, strangers of the internet, I need your opinion on if I'm being the a-hole or not here. Update. Hello, internet humans. Not sure if any of you remember my first post from a few months back, but I just logged in and saw I had a few messages, so I figured I would post an update. Sorry in advance for the length. So, a week after I made my original post, I sat down with my wife and we had a long and difficult conversation. She broke down and admitted she was struggling more than she let on with the loss of her brother, and she told me she felt uncomfortable talking to me about it due to my feelings towards him and how he lived his life. I was devastated, to say the least. I have never felt like such a horrible partner. I was selfish. I failed to see him as anything more than his mistakes, and I failed to support my wife through his death. It was a long talk with lots of tears, and we both agreed to be more open in the future and less judgmental. We started attending therapy together less than 2 weeks after that, and we have been going ever since, once a week. It was rough at first, but it has helped tremendously in dealing with the bumps in the road that is marriage. And as for our son, we came to an agreement on a name after lots of long discussions. A first name we both adored, and her brother's middle name, just spelled differently. A good compromise for both of us, and it was my son's own name that no one before him had carried. We were both happy. Then on July 3rd, 2022, my wife delivered a beautiful, healthy 8-pound baby girl. To say that we were shocked would be an understatement. My daughter came home the next day, and since then I am still in awe of how we created something so perfect. We didn't figure out a name until she was a week old, but I am happy to share that Eleanor Shea is what we came up with. We are still adjusting to life with an infant, but so far it has been nothing short of amazing. Thank you for your past advice, internet friends and strangers. New update. My wife is cheating on me. I am just here to vent my frustrations and scream into the void about my current situation. I can't talk to anyone in my personal life about this, but my wife is cheating on me. My wife is cheating, and she has been for the past 2 months. I just don't understand. I don't even know where to start to begin to understand. We have a beautiful home, stable careers, we're not financially struggling, we don't abuse drugs or alcohol, we attend therapy together. Our daughter is healthy, perfect. Our 6-year wedding anniversary is 3 months from tomorrow. We've been together for 11 years. I have spent the last 2 days examining everything about us under a microscope, trying to find a crack, where I went wrong. When did she become unhappy? When did this life, our life, become unsatisfactory for her? For her to step outside of our marriage with some random guy she met on Facebook? For her to throw our family away? I just don't understand. I found out on Monday, completely by chance. My daughter's tablet was dead. I grabbed my wife's iPad so she could watch her nighttime videos and go to sleep. Wife isn't home right now. She's on a trip and won't be back for another 4 days. I keep hearing message notifications dinging on her iPad while my daughter has it, so I took it to turn it on silent, only to see a man's name I didn't recognize with a little winky face next to it. I went through everything. They've done it all. Met up, spent the night together, went on dates. They even have a romantic cruise planned for next month. The same cruise she told me was a bachelorette trip with one of her friends. All of these outings that I encouraged. She told me they were with friends. I encouraged her. I was so proud she was getting out there and becoming more social ever since she expressed that motherhood made her feel like a recluse. And after digging a little deeper, all of these new friends she's been out with don't even exist. All lies. They are characters she has created to continue her relationship with this man. I feel like a complete and total idiot. I never second-guessed a lie she fed me. I gave her my 100% trust. We've been doing couples therapy for a year. We communicate, we go on dates, we get each other gifts. Our life in the bedroom was great. I never, not even for a second, would have suspected this. I don't know how to confront her with this. I don't want this. I don't want to split up our home. But I know that this isn't something therapy can fix. I know myself well enough to know I will never be able to trust her again. Do I just let her go? Let her be with this man who clearly makes her happier than I can? My entire existence is intertwined with her. How do I even begin to untangle that and separate? I have 4 more days to sit and overthink this. I genuinely don't know what to do, man. Edit. Thank you everyone for the advice. I am trying to keep up with the comments and eventually will reply to everyone. Since posting and reading the comments, I've been working on getting all the messages, pictures, and videos into a folder on my computer. I went through our home cameras and found out that she's had him at our house several times, either picking her up or them swimming, amongst other things, in our pool together. The more I find, the sicker I feel. I have a lot of phone calls to make in the next few days, and an appointment to get screened for STIs. I do want everyone to rest assured that my daughter is mine. We had a DNA test done when she was an infant to scan for hereditary diseases I carry. I'm going to reach out to my parents and fill them in so they can babysit while I handle this for the next few days. Update. My wife is cheating on me, continued. I posted here almost a month ago venting my frustrations about discovering my wife's affair, and I received a magnitude of comments and messages filled with advice and kind words. For that, I thank everyone who took the time to comment or write me, and I'm sorry for anyone who related to my situation. I'm here with somewhat of an update, but mostly more venting. My life is upside down and it feels good to get it all out somewhere. Sorry if a lot of this is rambling, and sorry for the length. After making my post, I took the advice of everyone and gathered up all the evidence I could, and then contacted lawyers in my area. I found a really great one and went ahead and started on the divorce papers before my wife got home. I also got tested for any STIs and told my parents/best friends about the situation. I took my daughter to my parents so I could have the alone time to mentally prepare myself to face my wife with this discovery. I rage cleaned a lot and cried a lot those last 2 days before she got back. I packed some of her stuff, but then unpacked it and cried more. I had it planned to lay out all the screenshots along with the divorce papers on our dining room table and just sit and wait for her, but I didn't get the chance to do that. She was supposed to get home later in the afternoon on Sunday, but she ended up getting back around 6:30 that morning. She didn't text or call in hopes of surprising me. I was up drinking coffee and, you guessed it, crying when she walked into the house. I didn't greet her. I just went and got the folders of evidence and divorce papers and gave them to her. I don't remember anything she said that day, but I just said that I knew, I wanted a divorce, and I would keep the house as it was in my name solely. It hurt a lot. I wanted to hug her, but also scream at her. Lots of tears from her, lots of yelling at me. I didn't say anything. I told her we could discuss it at length with lawyers present once she accepted the situation and calmed down. I think someone called it gray-walling in the comments of my last post. Not entirely sure, but I tried my best to do that and not show emotion or argue with her. It was really hard. The hardest thing I hope I will ever have to do. She betrayed me, but I still felt awful making her cry. She left that day with some clothes and personal belongings and went to her parents. And my parents and best friend came to stay with me and my daughter. I had my lawyer arrange a meeting between us to discuss custody, belongings, money, and everything else that following Tuesday. Well, on Monday, I got a call from my clinic to come in to review the results of the STI tests. And as it turns out, her parting gift to me is HSV2. I cannot describe in words how angry and sad and shattered I am. I'm still accepting it. I don't think I have yet, but I am working on it. I know it's common, very common. It's not going to kill me, but it doesn't make it suck any less. I joined a support group on Facebook, and those people are great. Going into Tuesday with that knowledge was awful. I felt so much shame bringing that up in front of not only her, but both of our lawyers. I knew if I tried to discuss it with her privately, it wouldn't go well. Not with the amount of anger and sadness I had in my system. She never apologized. She was a different person that day. I felt like I was looking into the eyes of a complete stranger. No emotion whatsoever. Divorce-wise, everything is cut and dry. We separated finances, the house is mine, and we are just waiting the 90 days for it to finalize. There were no objections on her end, but one. She wants to terminate her parental rights over our daughter. I say once. She is terminating rights, at least trying to. She doesn't want her anymore. Our daughter, our baby. I was effing blindsided. I'm still blindsided. My daughter is 1, but she loves her mama. Mama was her first word. She is 1. It's been 3 weeks, and the pain I have felt, the pain for my daughter, for my family, has been indescribable. I don't know who she is anymore. I don't know what changed or when it changed, but it terrifies me. I feel like my entire life was pulled out from under me. I haven't spoken to her per lawyer's advice and my own fear of what I would say. She hasn't seen our daughter. She told me that day that she didn't want to. She didn't want any pictures from our home, any memories, just her clothes and electronics. I don't understand any of it. I don't think I ever will. We have to go to court for her petition to terminate rights, and I don't want to look at her. I just can't accept this as reality right now. Not after everything. I'm trying as hard as I possibly can to keep a positive outlook on everything and be strong for my family and my baby, but this has been so hard. I hope a year from now I can look back and say, I survived that. But right now it feels impossible to even see next week. I'm not having thoughts of taking my own life, so don't think of it as that. I'm just emotionally, mentally, physically demolished. Absolutely demolished. Update. Hi there. It's been around 8-ish months since I last posted here about my upside down situation, and a lot of people have messaged me in that time wanting to know how I was and what unfolded, and I really appreciate you strangers for all the kind messages. To sum up the sad stuff first. First off, my divorce was finalized without any hiccups or holdups. I'm still in the works of trying to sell our old house, but in the meantime, we moved to a new state. My ex is still in the process of petitioning for termination of parental rights. I've only seen her 3 times since moving, and it has been to fly out for court. I was granted temporary full custody in the process, per her request and suggestion, and she was not mandated any visitation and has denied any offer of it. She has not seen my daughter in 7 months. She has requested not to. I don't know what else she's been up to or if she is still with her boyfriend or not. Since the divorce, it has been in best interest of my mental health to keep the contact as minimal as possible, and she has done the same. I have offered many chances for her to visit with my daughter, whether it be video call or flying out, and before we moved, I asked weekly, but I was always told no. Her parents still video call with my daughter, and we're hoping they can fly out over summer and spend some time with her. They've been cut off by my ex as well. I'm not sure what changed, but I can't change it back, and I'm accepting it mostly. I wish her well in all future endeavors. Now, for the happy stuff that has happened. Firstly, I am a proud Arizonan now. Never saw myself moving out here, but we have loved it so far. My parents packed up and came with us, and I don't think I've ever seen them so happy. My daughter is doing amazing. She will be 2 years old in July, and she's the smartest, funniest toddler I have ever met. She knows her ABCs, can count to 20 without help, loves animals and bugs especially. She thinks farts and a cow mooing are the definition of comedy, and she doesn't know, but she has been my biggest motivator to heal from all of this, and to be my best self. Like, I genuinely don't know how I helped make such an awesome kid. The more her personality grows, the more I am in awe of just how cool she is. I could talk about her for days, so I'll cap it here before this ends up being a Harry Potter-length post. As for myself, I've been in therapy for about 8 months, and I am in a much better headspace. I'm working on getting back on top of my health, as I did put on 30 pounds. As for myself, I'm in therapy and have been throughout these 8 months, and I'm in a much better headspace. I'm working on getting back on top of my health, as I did put on about 30 stress pounds. I'll get there eventually, but I'm not sweating it too much. I have not dated or tried to. I don't think I will anytime soon. I've adjusted to being a single parent pretty okay for the most part. I credit that to my family and friends more than anything, because they have been a huge support system throughout all of this. There are still really hard moments that have happened, and I know there are more to come, but I will roll with it just as I have this and hope to come out on top. This is not the end of the world for me, even if it feels like and felt like it in the moment. The sun will rise tomorrow, the birds will chirp, and all will be well. Thanks to my therapist for that. Those 2 sentences have helped me immensely. So, sorry this ended up being so long. I should really pick up journaling or something. Maybe a blog? I don't know. But thank you again to everyone who took the time to give me advice in the hardest time of my life. And thanks again if you read this. I genuinely appreciate it. Well, this story did a 180 on us, and it looked like there was no hope, but then like OP said, hopefully I can be one of those people who triumph over a year, and it was hard, and then seemingly so, we're about, 8 months after, and he's in a much better place, figuratively and literally. He moved to Arizona, a little too hot for my taste, but if he's happy there, then he's happy there. As for the ex-wife, she also seemingly did a 180 personality-wise. OP said he didn't even recognize her, so maybe she had some sort of break. We've read a lot of these stories where people change or do drastic stuff after traumatic things, and she didn't seem to be okay after the stuff with her brother. I know they went to therapy and all that, but it still might be affecting her. She said that motherhood was making her a recluse, but the fact that she wanted to give up parental rights of her daughter, I mean, that is really unfortunate and crazy, so I don't know. OP didn't get that answer, and maybe he didn't even need to. You don't always need that answer. Same goes for the cheating and all that. All we can focus on right now is OP and his awesome daughter, and the grandparents on both sides seem to be still involved, so that's really good for the kid. But anyway, next story. Story number 3. My husband turned 40 and suddenly became the man I married again. My husband has always been a good man, and he's a wonderful father. He also has a great career and is very driven to succeed. But after the kids were born, his passion for me had waned. He was once very affectionate and flirty, and he couldn't keep his hands off of me. We had date nights and would take weekend trips filled with kissing, hand-holding, and sleeping with each other. But after the kids, all of that began to fade, and it continued to the point that I felt like we were roommates. I kept myself in shape for him and initiated sex often. He would never turn me down, but it was lazy. It was basically get off quick and go to sleep. So after a while, I just stopped initiating. This continued for years, and I had just grown used to it. I still loved him. I had no desire to cheat or divorce. I just figured this is what happens after kids, and I'll just deal with it. Then, about a year ago, he got a babysitter and asked me if I wanted to go away for the weekend, just the two of us. I was shocked, but agreed. And the entire weekend, he was affectionate and flirty and just fun. He hadn't acted this way in years. He was a completely different guy, and that included in the bedroom too. This may be TMI, but my husband hadn't performed oral on me in 10 years, and every time he had before, he was kind of terrible at it. But while we were away, he just did it without asking, and he was amazing at it. This new attitude continued when we got home, and a few months after that, I started to notice that he had lost weight. Shortly after that, he started to look more toned as well. He had gotten dad bod, but now he looked better than when we got married. I won't lie, I had difficulty keeping my hands off of him. He's basically become the perfect husband overnight. I don't know what happened. He says he just wanted to be a better husband, but there was no event that triggered it outside of turning 40. Could that be it? I've read that middle-aged men sometimes get in shape because they are looking to cheat, but that's not the case. He's never cheated or had any desire to. We have Lifestyle 360 for the kids, and I see where he is. It's work and home. I also see all his text messages, since we share an iPad, so I'm kind of stumped. Edit. Thank you all for the comments. I will answer a few common questions. 1. I see no testosterone in the house. Unless he's taking it at work and not telling me, then I don't think that's what it is. 2. How did he become so good at oral? He did tell me that before he didn't like it, but now he does. I could tell before he was grossed out by it, and that affected how I felt about it. So right there was a change, but that doesn't explain how the man has become downright intuitive with oral and sex in general. He has a sense of when to speed up, when to stay consistent, when I'm close, and how to get me there. I just don't know how that happened. That part didn't happen right away, but it didn't take long. 3. Like I said above, cheating isn't really possible. I always know where he is, and I have for years. I can track him and so can the kids. He goes to work and comes home, and when he leaves the house, it is to the store or his parents, and I can see that too. Also, wouldn't you get in shape before the affair, not after it was over? Because I have been hyper vigilant and there is nothing. Now, here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, "Yeah, I don't think he's cheating. OP, I tend to think that most cheaters are narcissistic on some level, and that is the opposite of what he is." Yeah, cheating or looking to cheat was one of my fears, but no. As I mentioned in the post, there is really no possibility. I can see his text messages, and we have Lifestyle 360, so I know where he is, and it's work and home. Then user 2 commented and said, "It sounds like you're living the good life, but the only question is, how did he suddenly get so good? Did he practice? Did he search up some tips? It's a little suspicious. When I suspected my ex was cheating, she suddenly started doing home workouts and new tricks in bed. But I also learned how to do new stuff via tips and things, and got pretty good at most things, so it could be that as well." My husband got better at sex by simply trying. Before, it was basically pants off, pound, 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 and done. Now he actually takes his time, heats me up before entering me. He uses his mouth, he teases me, he's passionate now, where before he was just all business. And even when he does finally go inside of me, he's started using his hips and moving that thing around in there. I'm positive there was no cheating. Like I said, I can track him and I can see all his text messages as they come in. There was just never an opportunity. He had to have done some research though. Update. I wanted to give an update on my post from a few days ago since everyone who commented was so helpful. I talked to my husband and asked him if he was taking testosterone, as many of the comments thought he was. He said no and was curious why I asked. So we talked a bit, and I really pressed him hard on what was going through his mind a year ago to make him change so much, and I was able to tease two things out of him. The first was an incident at work. It happened about 6 months before he made his transformation, and I knew about it at the time because he told me. He didn't make a really big deal about it and barely mentioned it after telling me, so I just forgot it even happened until he mentioned it. My husband is a VP of finance at a rather large private company, and 2 members of his staff were engaging in an affair. The woman involved in the affair was married and about my age, and her husband had started to call the office. So it became a thing he had to deal with since he was their boss. He told me at that time, but I guess this saga dragged on for some months, and when the woman in question began to open up to others in the office regarding the reason why she had an affair, some of the reasons hit home for my husband. Her husband was behaving much like he was. So he said that isn't going to be me and set out to fix it. The second thing I teased out of him is that he quit watching adult videos. Now, I don't want to say that I don't care that he watched them, I do myself on occasion. But when he watched it and obviously finished himself afterwards, it drained any desire he had for me. I guess he started when the kids were really young and I was just exhausted all the time, and he just kept it up because it was easy. He quit because to fix our marriage, he had to get that desire back from me. So he did it. So after this conversation, a lot of things make sense. I also understand why he didn't tell me. He didn't want me to think that the possibility that I could cheat had entered his mind, and the adult videos is sort of self-explanatory. Now here are some more relevant comments. User 1 said, "I'm so glad to hear that you two talked about this. I'm also glad that you drowned out the assumptions people were making about your husband in the original thread you made." It wasn't hard. I knew he wasn't cheating. Even if I didn't know where he was all the time, he really isn't the type to cheat. I tend to think most cheaters are narcissistic on some level, and that is the opposite of what he is. Then OP replied to one comment asking if her husband knew about or covered up the staff member's affair and said, "Well, none of that happened. He found out after the fact when the husband called HR and my husband directly. These people directly report to him, so obviously he had to manage the situation so that his department could still function and do their jobs." Alright, so we've all heard of a midlife crisis, but this is like a midlife revival. That's a good way of putting it. He's like, you know what? Time to get ripped. And then he did it. And then he's going down on his wife 42 times a day. She's like, "No, husband." He's like, "Please, allow me to pleasure you, wife, one more time, please. I've learned." I don't really know where he learned how to get better. That wasn't really elaborated, I don't think. Did I miss that? I don't think that was answered. But anyway, good for them. The marriage is revitalized, and like OP said at the beginning of the story, she got herself in shape for him, so maybe she's still doing that. And now they're 2 married people with kids, great jobs, and they're banging every day. Bang, bang, bang. That's them in the bedroom. I never claimed to be a professional. Anyway, next story. Story number 4. My husband's, 36M, affair daughter, 5F, was dropped off at our house 2 weeks ago, and it's causing issues in our marriage. Is there any way to salvage this? My 34F life is falling apart, and it's all thanks to my husband. We had a perfect life. Both of us worked in the jobs we loved, we have a beautiful daughter 10F, and a healthy son 5M. When I was pregnant with our son, we both almost died due to complications. So before the birth and even afterwards, I didn't want to sleep with my husband. Why would I? I almost died, and my body was in pain for months afterwards, even with strong medication. I thought my husband understood because he never pushed me for sex or even asked. I thought it was because he understood my pain, but apparently he was just getting it from somewhere else. A few months ago, we were visited by Child Protective Services. I was terrified at first, frantically thinking of what we did wrong with our children to cause a visit. But no, as it turns out, some woman I've never met before died in a car accident, leaving behind a daughter, and my husband's name was on the girl's birth certificate, and he was named in the woman's will as the father. I thought it was a mistake at first, until my husband told me the truth. As it turns out, while I was suffering from my pregnancy and the after effects of almost dying, my husband would go to a woman he knew at work and get it off with her. He said this as if he did me a favor. Well, as the CPS worker explained to us, my husband is her closest living relative that can care for her. The woman's family apparently wanted nothing to do with the poor little girl. When she asked us if we wanted to take her in, I said yes. And yes, I know this might be the true cause of all my issues, but my husband pawned that poor girl off to live with her single mother for 5 years. He doesn't get to pawn her away when she needs help. She is his responsibility and is now ours. I told him I will help take care of the necessary visits for wellness checks and help with whatever CPS wants us to do. All he had to do was explain everything to our children. And the fact that I'm telling you this is yes, he did nothing. We had to clean out a room and buy new furniture and even looked for some toys. Our children go to a private school, so I picked up some more work hours in order to be able to afford her tuition. I was the one who had to tell our extended families the big change because he didn't want to do so. I did almost all of the heavy lifting. So, guess who was the one who had to explain that they have a sister now, as I'm trying to settle the poor girl into her new home and room? And shocker, our children didn't take the news as well as it was happening right in front of them. My daughter was screaming while crying, causing my son and the little girl to cry, a situation that could have been avoided if my husband just did the one thing I asked of him and explained everything to them much sooner. It's been 2 weeks of her living with us, and the situation hasn't improved. My husband has not picked up the slack that comes with having a new addition to the family, so we are struggling right now to make ends meet. I feel embarrassed bringing all these children around for appointments and groceries because the little girl is very much obviously not mine, and I can tell people are judging our family. My daughter is much moodier and less happy and refuses to even acknowledge our newest addition to the family. Our son doesn't really understand what is going on, and it's causing him even to lash out. And I don't even know how to help the poor little girl because I know that if I feel like my life is falling apart, she must feel even worse. I suggested family therapy, therapy for our children, even just marriage therapy so we can hopefully move past this and work together as a unit for all the children. He has refused everything, saying that he knows he'll be lectured by everyone when all he was doing was trying to help me. I just don't know how to fix this. Please help me. I don't want to divorce him because I just know that will make it worse for the kids, but that's the only option my family is telling me. Meanwhile, his family is begging me to make this work and to just look past it. Edit. Thank you. I hear you all loud and clear. I will be looking into therapy for me and the children as well, and hopefully a good divorce lawyer. But first, I need to get some answers because some of you are raising some good points. Then in the comment section, OP replied to a comment asking if she was sure her husband wasn't cheating now. I know this is really pathetic to say, but I really did think he was amazing before all of this. When I gave birth to our daughter, he stepped up to the plate by caring for her and doing housework. He was an attentive father to both of our children before all of this. I was able to tell him I needed to take a break and he would just step up and take care of them, and then I could be able to relax. I don't know why he committed such an affair and then tried to excuse himself. And I don't know why he's decided to not care about our children as much as he used to be. I guess I just kept hoping if we all go to therapy and find the root of this issue, we can fix it and just go back to how our relationship used to be. Now I'm reading all of these comments and they sound just like my family, and I guess I was just being naive. Then OP replied to another comment that suggested leaving the new girl to the father as she was not her responsibility, and was also told to leave her husband. I have to disagree with you. As much as I hate my husband's actions, I don't hate her enough to just abandon her in such a time of need. I agreed to take her into our home, so she is indeed my responsibility, as much as my husband's. And I didn't say this at first because I didn't know if it was important, but she and my son have gotten really close in such a short amount of time. I would feel heartbroken separating the two. Update. I'm sorry, you were all right. It was a lie. When all of you were pointing out how the kids' responses to the youngest arriving didn't make sense, it made me realize how correct that is. They came home to a room all made up, and I made passing comments to them asking about how excited they were for the youngest's arrival. They should have known about her. At this point, I decided to just ask my eldest daughter directly because she was still so upset about it, and I think subconsciously knew I wasn't going to get the truth from my husband. So I went to her room while she was lying in bed and I asked her. I told her that I asked her father to explain to the two of them what was going to happen. They saw her new room. I talked about her to them, so I don't understand my eldest's reaction. So yes, it turns out my husband didn't tell them and me the truth. A surprise to no one, I am figuring out. The story he told the kids was that the youngest was a daughter of one of our friends, and we felt so bad that we had to take her in. Nothing about her being their half-sister or him having a daughter with another woman. Well, when she came home that day and we asked who she was, the pictures we were able to share of the youngest she had braids in and wore much different clothing than when she arrived. It was my response to them that ruined his little lie. "This is your half-sister, remember?" Our son was too young to really get what it meant, but our daughter did. That's why she freaked out that day. Not because of the new addition to the family, but because what the new addition meant. I apologized for causing her to freak out that day, for not sitting both her and her brother down for a real discussion over how they feel and to make sure their father did what he was supposed to do, and apologized for only talking to her now after she had a much-deserved reaction to all of it. My daughter accepted the apology, and I asked her if that was why she was distant from the youngest. She told me that's part of it, and because word got out at her school about what the newest addition to our family going to the school meant. So now she's getting teased and picked on for having a father who cheated. It broke my heart realizing just how badly I messed up. By continuing to beg the spineless man they called a father to help them, and then allowing myself to get shut down, I was essentially allowing the kids' needs to be ignored. I told my daughter I will sign her and her brother and sister up for therapy. Of course, the pathetic man tried to plead with me not to when I mentioned signing the kids up, but I told him to give it up already. The lives of all three of these children have changed, and it will help them adjust with a professional to speak to. He's been grumbling and whining about it, but I don't care anymore. And this might cause many to be upset with me, but I am in the process with husband to have him transfer custody of the youngest to me. I've grown to care for her, and as some comments on my last post have pointed out, once I do divorce him and leave with our kids, I don't doubt he'll treat her awfully or neglect her. He's been right on board, and it took some convincing, but his parents finally agreed to be witnesses. I got all the paperwork set up and scheduled an appointment with an attorney to help with anything else. Once that happens, I'll try to get everything I need in order to have a smoother divorce, and then subsequently move to be closer to my family. Thank you to everyone for giving me a good slap in the face and help me realize that the children and I deserve better, and I was being so gullible into thinking a man who cheats on his dying pregnant wife is deserving of any respect. Now here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, "OP, you are doing a very noble thing taking care of this girl. She's not your responsibility, but you're taking it on anyway. You are an angel." Then user 2 commented and said, "You really are an amazing woman. This poor child lost her mom, and you are stepping up when not many would. I can't imagine what you're going through, but with a mom like you, I feel confident that you will steer you and your kids through all of this." And finally, user 3 commented and said, "Your kids are infinitely lucky to have you as a mom. I can't even imagine how your husband could have possibly gotten an angel/saint like you to marry him. After you've divorced him, I implore you to wait for an absolutely ripped veterinarian, fireman, musician, mechanic, just to ensure that they have a half a chance of deserving your affection. Have a pleasant day." Yeah, OP deserves a hot bod dude, just smoking jacked, like six-pack if she wants it, long flowing hair, beard, no beard, I don't know, she deserves it. This woman is a saint, okay? And I want to shake her hand and then maybe make her dinner. It probably won't taste good, but it's the thought that counts, right? And you know what else is thoughtful? This woman taking up a girl that isn't hers, that she doesn't have to. She made a bit of a mistake getting the kids to know about the situation, but she said, hey, I'm owning up to it, I'm taking care of these kids, and I'm probably going to be doing it solo, let's be honest, because the soon-to-be ex-husband is terrible. He sucks. His pull-out game is weak. He had a kid with another woman while his wife was dying. What a terrible man. I hope an anvil falls on his head, or maybe even a piano. I'm not very picky, but I'm sure karma will catch up to this guy, if not already, because now he's alone. But anyway, forget that guy. Next story. Story number 5. My F24 husband M36 has a whole other wife and child. Where do I go from here? This is a long and complicated story. I'm sorry if some things are confusing or don't make sense. I am a mess right now and trying to wrap my brain around everything. As for the story, I met my husband Jake about 4 years ago on Tinder. Jake comes from a different country to where I am from, but he was my type, and when we started talking, I was blown away by how charming and sweet he was. This version of Jake never went away. He has always been this amazingly charming and sweet person. He's the type of person that when you've finished having a conversation with him, you feel better about yourself. Just to give you some context, he and I fell in love quickly and got married fast also. He was very eager to start a family, as it gave his citizenship in my country more legitimacy. By our second anniversary, we were married, and I was pregnant with our son. Jake still works in his home country, and so every few months, he flies back and stays there with his mother, or so I thought, and completes the work required and then flies back. The rest of the work he can do at home. The last few years with Jake have genuinely been the most amazing years of my life, and this is why the last week feels like such a fever dream. This is hard to explain, but a person on Facebook messaged me last Tuesday claiming that Jake had been cheating on me and that they had proof. I genuinely didn't believe this person and at first just ignored them, but then curiosity got the better of me and I messaged back and asked what proof they had. They proceeded to send me a large collection of photos of Jake with another woman and 2 boys. I know these photos were relatively recent as he dyed his hair blonde for the Barbie movie at my request and has kept it like that ever since. The person told me that since the woman in the photo was his wife and the 2 boys were his sons, I obviously didn't want to believe it. I tried to find ways it was fake, Photoshop, AI, whatever. I don't even know. I think the person blocked me after that, as their account just comes up as Facebook user now when I look at the chats. When I had got home, I confronted Jake, and he started crying and confessed that everything was true, and that he had a wife and 2 sons who looked to be about 13 and 9. I could be wrong, but that's just my guess. And they were in his home country, that he was still married to the woman. And I asked him, how could he do this to me? How could he have lied to me for so long? I told him I was going to expose him to the other wife, and he said not to bother because she already knows and she supports him. I left and have been staying with my mother ever since. This has been the hardest week of my life, and some days I genuinely haven't wanted to get out of bed. Jake has been texting me saying that he will break things off with the other wife completely if that's what I wanted, and he texted me saying he thought I wouldn't mind, which genuinely made me sob into my pillow. I have never felt so low. Part of me, stupidly I know, wants to take him back. The years I had with him were the best I ever had, but this betrayal is just, I don't even know how to explain the hurt I feel. Update. Hi guys. First and foremost, I would like to thank all of you for the advice and support everyone has given me since I posted my original post 4 days ago. It's been over a week since I left to go stay at my mother's, and this time away from Jake has been so good for me and has allowed me to see what was really important to me. Since I originally posted, Jake and I have been talking, and he let me know that he has broken things off with his other wife. Apparently, it wasn't even a legal marriage. He explained to me that when he was a child, his parents and his wife's parents arranged for them to be married. This happened when he was 7 years old, by the way. But it wasn't a legal wedding, just like a ceremonial thing that links his family with hers. He said that he never actually loved her, but he was required to marry her or his father would have to pay so much to his wife's family as like punishment, I guess. I felt really bad for him. I could tell he didn't want to be with her at all, and was only doing it so his family was okay. The relationship isn't real on either side, which is what he was trying to tell me when he said his wife supports him. They're only married because they're required to be. I am so relieved now that he's explained everything to me. He told me he won't be contacting her again, but because of this, we will have to send a small amount of money to the wife's family for the foreseeable future, which of course is not ideal, but it is better than the alternative of him going over to be with her every few months. I wish he just told me the truth from the start, but don't worry, I've signed us up for couples therapy. I know this is likely not the results you guys expected or wanted. So many of you were so bloodthirsty for him without even understanding what he was going through. The thing that kind of concerns me now is what the relationship will be like between my son and his other half-siblings. I think I would like to foster a relationship between them if I can. I'm just glad to be back with Jake. I love him so much. Now here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, I find this pretty unbelievable. Have you talked to his wife to confirm any of this? Not per se, but I can tell usually when he's lying, and he wasn't this time. Then user 1 commented again and said, so you can't tell when he's lying, except for the whole double life thing, right? Apart from that, you read him like a book. Then user 2 commented and said, OP, will you be paying into this money that is ostensibly going to the other wife's family, or will he be paying it solely from his income? I don't have an income at the moment, so it can't be from me. Then user 3 said, not a real marriage, yet there are half-siblings? He says he had them before he even knew me. Then user 3 replied again and said, yeah, you would have also been 10 or 11 years old when the oldest was born. Does that not shout red flag to you? Okay, what has that got to do with anything? He wasn't dating me then. Then OP made one final comment before deleting her account and said, okay, I'm out of here. You all are bigoted of other cultures and traditions. You know nothing of me and Jake, and the fact that so many of you have tried to say that he is a groomer shows how sick some of your worldviews are. Get yourself sorted and get your acts together. Oh, baby girl. Oh, girl, you are Delulu times 11. Oh my goodness. Now, I try not to be like the ignorant American because sometimes we do get stories where there's a cultural aspect from it, and I'm not, knowledgeable of other cultures. So I'm like, okay, let's look at it from that perspective. But this time, I don't think it's culture stuff. I think it's lying stuff, and I think it's delusional stuff. And she's like, oh, well, that makes enough sense. Come here, Jake. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And also, I don't think we've ever had a story where OP deleted their account during the middle of it. So this might be a first. I can't remember it happening before, maybe afterwards, but I don't remember this. Maybe she deleted her account once everyone was just kind of like, hey, OP, do you want to think about this for 5 seconds? And then she got to 4 seconds and was like, nope, Jake, delete my account for me. Jake, honey, delete it, please. Honestly, I could keep going on about this woman all night because this is just the laugh factory of stupidity delusion, and it's gonna fall in her face. And you know what Jake is paying, by the way? It's called alimony, sweetie, okay? Next story. Story number 6. Am I the a-hole for pursuing the nanny? Cliche title, I know, but my friend group is split, and I'm being called an a-hole, so here I am. I, 43M, have been pursuing a relationship with my friend's nanny. He's in finance, she's a doctor, so they needed an extra pair of hands to look after their 6-month-old. About 2 months ago, they found Ella, 29, who they are very happy with, and she's been a great help, so I was told. Fast forward to a month ago, I'm over at their place to meet the baby, and I met Ella for the first time. I thought she was beautiful from the second I laid eyes on her. She's smart and very outgoing. I won't lie, I probably looked like an idiot, but I couldn't take my eyes off of her. Ella and I exchanged numbers with the understanding it was good to have them in the event of an emergency. Both parents aren't always available, so I'm the next best thing in an emergency. Anyway, we had been texting back and forth for a couple of weeks, and I thought to hell with it, and asked her out for a drink. She said yes. Apparently, Ella told my friend and his wife that she was going on a date with me, and they are pissed, saying I will screw up their relationship with her and other stuff. I reminded them Ella is an adult and she's interested in me too, but they told me I need to cancel the date and not go after their nanny because they need her focused on her job, and I'm a distraction? I refused again, and now our friend group is involved and divided. Some agree with me. We're adults, we can decide for ourselves. Others agree with him. I'm an a-hole and it's inappropriate. So, Reddit. Am I the a-hole? Now here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, you are the a-hole on 2 fronts. 1, this is your close friend's employee. The power dynamic is weird. What happens when it's raise time? What happens when you both complain about work? Your friend said no, don't do it. And number 2, the age gap is too much. I like to use 20% as a rule of thumb. You are more than 20% older than her. Another popular one is half your age plus 7. She's still too young for you. Look for partners at the same stage in life as you are. Ella isn't bothered by my age, and I'm not stupid enough to pass up the opportunity to spend an evening with a gorgeous 20-something woman. I don't see why they get to make this decision for either of us. Then user 2 commented and said, you are the a-hole. If things go south with you and the nanny, she may quit to avoid any possible contact with you. You are not a good friend to say that because you're consenting adults. It's not your problem, even though you say that you can see where they're coming from. I don't mean to sound incredibly self-centered, but that's a risk Ella has to figure out if she's willing to take. My friends went through a tough time finding her in the first place, but I don't see how they can expect her to just not go out socially. Then user 3 commented and said, 43, your age, divided by 2 is 21 and a half, plus 7 is 28 and a half. You are really skating on the edge of this rule regarding appropriate age gaps. As a 41-year-old myself, I could not imagine being remotely interested in somebody in their late 20s. They are quite simply in a different stage of life. The fact of the matter is, this relationship is unlikely to work out in the long term. But your friends will always remember that you basically robbed the cradle in the context of being an emergency contact to their daughter. Sure, buddy. Legal adult status or no, the age gap is important. Also, the general impression of men who go after very, very young women are that they cannot find a woman their own age that puts up with their crap. So, you are the a-hole. I have dated all ages, appropriately of course, and I just enjoy the company of younger women. They're more adventurous and fun to spend time with. I'm not really looking for anything long-term, but just to enjoy some time with an attractive, albeit younger woman until things reach their natural conclusion. Then user 4 commented and said, ah yes, so you are the a-hole. Your friends most likely know you're only after one thing and how this will end, with them losing their nanny once you're done messing around with her. Gross. Again, you are the a-hole. I wouldn't call it messing around. I'm open to something long-term, and I don't see anything gross about it either. Then user 5 said, you are the a-hole. Initially, I was sort of on the edge, and then you posted this. I've dated all ages, appropriately of course. I just enjoy the company of younger women. They're more adventurous and fun to spend time with. Then you said you weren't looking for anything long-term and just to enjoy something with an attractive, albeit younger woman until things reach their natural conclusion. Okay, so, OP, call me all the names you want about being middle-aged and grouchy, but when I hear people talk about younger women being more adventurous, it really means younger women have fewer boundaries and will do more stuff in bed and put up with more crap. And while I understand what I suspect is a desire to put it up her rear end and or a partner who doesn't have responsibilities that limit her free time or make her tired on weekends or evenings or experience that makes her impatient while you use the bathroom, I don't respect it very much. I especially don't respect it when you are just in it for fun, and your fun involves your friend's childcare. I have children, and I have nannies, and the level of protectiveness I feel about the people who protected my kids was off the charts, because it's not just about my employees, it's about my children and my career. You are not offering anything to this woman that she couldn't get from someone less connected to her employer, but you are bringing potential drama and heartbreak into the life of someone your friends seriously depend on. Furthermore, the world is full of hot young women who do not nanny for your friends, who you could look at instead, as indeed you are already planning to look at them eventually. If your connection to the nanny was emotionally important to you, I would tell you to go ahead, but since you say you see her as a good time from whom you will inevitably move on, I think you should skip right over dating her and move on now. Messing with a friend's childcare for a disposable fling is not cool. Okay, I never said anything about putting it in her rear end. What? It's one date, and as far as I'm aware, it's incredibly unlikely to end with sex. The way I phrased things probably came across wrong. I just want to see where things could go, and Ella's interested in pursuing that with me. I won't call anyone names over sharing an opinion that I asked for either. Then user 6 commented and said, worst case scenario, this ruins your relationship with your friend who you are the godfather to their child, but you get some young girl half your age to hook up with. I won't deny, the idea of sleeping with Ella has crossed my mind. I am human after all, but I doubt it'll ruin things. We've done stupid crap over the years, and we've always forgave each other. Then, in a surprising turn of events, OP's friend makes an appearance in the comments section and says, you are the a-hole. I am the father mentioned in this post, and I can't believe you have the stones to post this. He sent me the post to gloat. I guess at some point it was going his way? Most of what he said is true. My wife and I had a baby 6 months ago and hired a nanny. He is not my baby's godfather, as he said in the comments. We are not friends, and he did not ask Ella for her number. He took it from the baby book my wife put together in case of emergencies. The only reason he was at my house is because my wife feels sorry for him and invites him over for dinner sometimes. For what it's worth, Ella is neither 29 nor interested. She was being polite because you told her we were best friends and she wanted to make a good impression. I've told her to block his number and every single social media I know he has, and apologized profusely because I don't want her to quit. Also, by the way, OP or Jake as I will call you here, you are the a-hole. If you come near my family again, I will lay out all your dirty laundry for the world to see. Then, after Jake's comment, more users commented and said, "This guy is such an a-hole. That girl was being groomed and coerced, and y'all just had to step in like real people and his parents because he is such an a-hole. I bet he pressured Ella for that date for so effing long. Good on you and your wife for standing up for her." Also, side note, I knew he was lying about her age. I thought he was crap, so I thought it was going to be 19. That's why he said 29. But 24 is just as bad as 19. Him lying about the age is the sure sign that he actually knows what he's doing is wrong. Then Jake replied with, "I am a little tempted to see the messages between them, but I've given Ella the night off to deal with things in her own way, without my fussy 6-year-old. Honestly, if she was my daughter, Jake wouldn't see me coming." Then another user commented and said, "I'm sorry, what do you mean uncomfortable? OP says that the nanny agreed to go out. Was that also a lie?" Then Jake replied with and said, "I think she agreed because he had convinced her we were close friends. My wife is going to talk to her after her shift tomorrow morning, but I've tried my best to reassure her as much as I can that Jake is not and never will be considered a friend." Then user 4 commented and said, "So wait, how old is she then? Now I've got to know." "She is 24, barely." "Oh, gross. I'm sorry, dude. Yeah, your friend here sounds like a real POS. "I'm sorry too. I had no idea he'd go that far. It wasn't until he sent me that post I learned he was even in contact with her." Then user 5 said, "Him sending you the post is somehow even more psychotic than everything else." "I honestly have no idea what his reasoning was. He seemed so smug when he texted me the link." Then one user said, "Thank you for looking out for your nanny, OP. You and your wife are doing the right thing." "I can't deny I feel terrible she was put in this position, whether I knew it or not. I feel like I should have done something." Then another user commented and said, "Wow, so weird he sent you the link that he lied in. Make sure she is safe in your home, please. Something seems off. Also, Jake is the a-hole all day." "I think he wanted to show he could get someone like Ella if he wanted to, but I'll never really know. He is blocked everywhere I can think of, and when my wife comes home, she will do the same." And finally, user 8 commented and said, "Thank you for helping her through this. I am leaving the actual helping to my wife when she gets home. At the moment, all I can do is reassure Ella that she's done nothing wrong, and that her job is secured for as long as she wants it." Update on Jake. A few people asked for an update. I did start writing one before the post he wrote was deleted. I don't know why, and I don't care. I saw screenshots of the messages from Jake, and to say I was disgusted is a massive understatement. He bragged about wealth that I'm fairly certain he doesn't have, how close we all are, and how he introduced me to my wife. We were married when I met him. He also hinted at having influence over me because he's like an older brother to me, and suggested to Ella that he could convince me to give her special privileges and a raise. I assured Ella none of it was true, and that we were very happy with her work. I also called Jake to rip him a new one. He insisted Ella was interested, that she'd lied about her age to him, and that they had been flirting for weeks. I told him I read the messages, and that Ella told me the truth. He got quiet real quick. He said he hadn't done anything wrong, and that he had to go suddenly. Now he has been blocked everywhere. I'm also paying for Ella to change her number to make doubly sure that he cannot get through to her. Not the most exciting update. I imagine some of you thought he would turn up at my door again or something like in the movies. Now I am signing out of this account. I was planning on deleting it, which is how I found the requests for an update, but here you go. I'm glad you enjoyed my life turning into a walking nightmare for a day. Also, F you, Jake. So, no wonder Jake wasn't concerned about the friendship. There was no friendship to begin with. Also, we had 2 stories in a row where Jake was the fake name used for one of the people involved. But as for the story, yeah, that guy's just a douche, a jerk, a tool, an idiot, trying to, manipulate a 19-year-old girl, or coerce her is a better word. "Oh, yeah, I can get you a raise if..." Oh, wait, actually, he's British. "Oh, yes, I can get you a raise indeed, sweetheart. But you got to do something for me first. Why don't you open up me trousers and take a look?" No, Jake, stop. Get someone your age. As a matter of fact, even better, get some help. Oh, wait, she was 24 years old. Whatever, close enough. But anyway, I'm really tired and I'm ready to die. So we're going to end this video and I will resurrect myself in the morning. But thank you all so much for watching the video. It really means a lot. Also, I really like your shirt today. It looks really good on you. But anyway, bye-bye.